EMEA edition, a safe place for salespeople to network and share ideas with their peers. I'm your co-host, Alex Abbott, founder of Sapiro and creator of the Conversation operating system. We have a great show for you and a great panel. So allow me to introduce our panel. Adam, do you want to kick us off with intros?
Hi, everybody. I'm Adam Gray. I'm co-founder of DLA Ignite. And I'm really sorry, Alex, that I'm not with you on the sofa today, but I'm delivering some training remotely and I have to be here to be able to do that. So apologies for that, because it
I
would be
forgive
lovely to
you.
be there in person. Oh, thank you. You're very kind.
And Leigh, our special guest today, do you want to say a few words? Introduce yourself?
Yes, hello. I'm so happy to be here. I am Leigh Ashton, and I have been in sales for a really long time. We were just saying before we went live how long we'd been in sales, and we've seen many variations of cultures over the years. And Alex and I had a conversation about wellness in sales. You know, I've been in sales for over 30 years. And I've noticed that as the years have gone on, that structures have changed around sales, and it's been having, for some, more detrimental effects on not just their happiness at work, but also how they live outside of their work. And what are my niche is growth mindset, and I focus very much on mindset, but also the well-being of the individuals, because my belief is that when salespeople and sales leaders are happy, they can really perform at a high level. When there's pressure and other toxicity, then it has quite a negative impact on people. But not everyone, you know, but for some people it can be quite tough.
Yeah, and you've written this book, Grow Your People, Grow Your Sales.
Yes.
There's the book there, and
Yeah.
I've had a little read of this, and I love how you write in the book that sales performance is as much about how salespeople think as it is what they learn.
Yeah, for sure.
And
I think it's more about what they think, actually.
yeah, tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, when I was a salesperson, I would be what people would class as an A player. So I was always in the top 3 in the country throughout my career. Um, and then they promoted me to sales manager. And I realized at that time that it wasn't about what people knew how to do. So, you know, if I would do any training or share stuff that I had done that was really successful for me, people would fall into 3 camps. The first camp was, "Oh, Leigh, that's great. I'm going to go and try that." And off they would go and try it out. These would be the other A players.
Yeah.
Then the second group was, "Leigh, that's amazing. I'm going to go and try that." And then they would go away and just carry on doing what they were doing before. And the third group was, "That won't work for me or my territory." So back then, there wasn't such a thing as fixed and growth mindset, but it was clear to me that despite my success and despite sharing stuff with people and wanting to really support them, it really didn't matter. It was around mindset. If you've got the mindset to step out of your comfort zone and try new things and not be concerned about being perfect or getting it right first time, and knowing that mistakes is part of the growing process, if you didn't have that mentality, you were not going to try new things.
Yeah. Yeah, we've
No matter how good the trainer is or how good the idea is, if you internally thought, I don't think I can do that, you wouldn't.
Yeah. And in the book, you, I mean, I think for a lot of salespeople, they're overwhelmed with what's being thrown at them. And I like in the
Mm.
book how you talk about the comfort zone, the learning zone, and is it the terrifying zone or the
The
terrified
terror
zone,
zone, the terror zone.
where nothing's going to be absorbed by salespeople with all of
Yeah,
the other stuff they're dealing with?
yeah, yeah. You know, I'm a great believer in technology, because I love it. But when technology takes over decision making, I think it's a really, people are not allowed to be themselves. People are not allowed to be the salesperson that they want to be. And I think we're constraining people in a way that stops them growing and flowing, because
Yeah.
when there was no technology when I got into sales, and if you were a little bit down, your sales manager would like get you in and say, "How's it going?" Like give you a little pep talk. You'd kind of think about it in your own head, and then you'd go out with a bit more enthusiasm and vigor. And I think that that is really missing.
Mm.
Unless you're an A player, you're just a stat on a spreadsheet.
Yeah.
People may know the top 10 percenters, as I call them, um, but they rarely, like at very senior positions, know the human beings in these really large organizations. They
Mm.
just they just don't. And I think we've lost a bit of humanity.
Yeah. Yeah. Adam, I know you're going to have a view on technology and the role of technology when it comes to sales, but I'd love to get your opinion around that.
Yeah, I think that I think that we're kind of at an inflection point, aren't we? We've for a long time we've been human to human. We've had lots of conversations with people, like you said, Leigh. You were called into your boss's office, and they put their arm around you and say, "Come on, what's wrong? What's really happening? What's troubling you?" And now we have this hyper connectedness. You've got access to basically everybody on the planet through a video screen or through messaging, whatever it may be, in real time. And we've lost a lot of that support mechanism. And certainly, um, and I guess maybe I'm at that age when I'm looking back on those halcyon days of oh, wasn't it good in the good old days? But salespeople seemed to be happier. Salespeople seemed to be more contented. There were more smiles and laughs.
Mhm.
And now, particularly in our role, mine and Alex, helping to support salespeople to be more successful. There's universally the problem that people are stressed. They're under huge amounts of pressure. They're not achieving their numbers. They can't see any way out of this hole that they've got themselves into. But maybe to a
Isn't
certain
isn't
sorry, go on.
Adam, sorry to jump in there though, but
Yeah.
isn't that because businesses now think sales is an engine and it's about systemizing everything and the science behind it and really losing the art and the human side of it?
Maybe, but Lee's kind of headline on her social profiles is about uh, salespeople being happy.
Mm,
About them feeling contented and feeling that they have purpose, and all of those things that give us that sort of puffed up chest feeling about doing something which is worthwhile. And I wonder, my question to Leigh is, how do you change somebody from being in that dark place? They're looking at a number they can't achieve. They're under more pressure for having to report and do deal reviews and all of that sort of thing.
mm,
How do you turn them from that, where failure becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy almost? How do you
Mhm.
turn them from that into somebody that's happy and excited in going to work? Because that's the point when they engage the buyer and the prospect. That's the
Mhm.
point when people want to talk to them. So more conversations equals more opportunities equals more revenue. So it's kind of like, to a certain extent, we're putting the cart before the horse. How do we put the horse before the cart?
happy bees
Yeah.
make tasty honey.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, what there's one thing that I have to do when I start working with a new team and a new set of leaders, if you like, and the first thing I do is I get them to accept where they are right now,
Mm.
with no shame, no guilt. That and how I do that is I say, like all of us have this book of life. Page one is the day we are born, and um, there are many chapters in that book, and we don't know when the last page will be, but that's the page where you check out, that you take your last breath. And all of us are at different chapters in our life. And uh, the issue that we have in sales is there's a lot of pretense to be at a higher chapter because there are high expectations. So, say somebody is at really genuinely at chapter 10, but they're pretending to be at chapter 15. Now, you cannot go from chapter 10 to chapter 15 without doing all the chapters in between. And if you're pretending to be at chapter 15, you can't grow. You can't always ask for help, or there's a tendency not to ask for help. You don't want to make any mistakes because you're pretending to be at a more advanced level than you are, and your roots are at chapter 10. So, what I get people to do is they don't have to share what chapter they're at, they just have to know what chapter they're at, and then
Mm.
they have to stand in that place where the roots are so that they're grounded in reality. And then they feel comfortable because growth mindset is all around learning from mistakes, learning from feedback, humility, asking for help. These are characteristics of a growth mindset. So
Mm.
I get people to go, okay, so every day you ask yourself, what do I need to do differently tomorrow to be ready for the next chapter,
Mm.
whatever that next chapter is.
What you're describing, though, is easier said than done, because salespeople are always trying to. I mean, by their nature, they're looking for the next step. They're looking for success. They want the next
Yeah,
step on the ladder in their career.
yeah,
I was having a conversation with someone this week that is currently an SDR, wanting to be an account executive, and they're
yeah,
focused only on the promotion. I said, well, it isn't the promotion you need. What you want is to be a successful account executive. So, what does the path look like from where you are today to becoming a successful account executive? And don't think about the promotion and that being the end point. That's just a milestone along your journey.
yeah.
And accepting where you are and holding your hand up when you don't know, I think, is easier said than done in sales. Would you agree?
I would say it depends on the leader. The
Okay.
linchpin is the leader. So if the leader creates a culture in their team where that they can ask for help, but the leader may not say, this is how you do it. A really great leader is somebody that coaches and develops a human being's thinking and behavior in a way that that person can grow. So I won't deliver any growth mindset programs in any organization unless the leaders are included, because it's
Mm,
pointless. You can build up the mindset of these individuals in sales, and quite honestly, if the leader is ill equipped to coach and develop, if the leader has got their eyes focused purely on KPIs rather than the human being that delivers those,
mm.
then you have a problem.
Yeah.
Isn't there though? Isn't there? There's a kind of polarization going on here, isn't there? Because nobody gets promoted for saying I don't know. What's the answer to this? I don't know. Oh well, you'll get the promotion. That's not how the
Mm,
narrative plays out.
mm.
And particularly when we're in B2B sales and we're selling a complex solution to a very complex problem,
Mhm.
what the buyer is looking for increasingly is a guide to take them through that. So
Yeah,
again, the challenge there is that, oh, I don't know, but I'll find out. well, actually, the reason that I'm having the conversation with you is because you do know the answer to this particular challenge that I'm facing. So I think that there's a very clear differential between not knowing the answers and being able to say, I need some help with this. Because actually, I think the salespeople do need to know a lot of the answers. Now, that's not to say that they're not under pressure, which they are. That's not to say that they shouldn't be coached, which they should. It's not to say that there shouldn't be an inclusive leadership. But as Alex said, the very nature of salespeople is that they tend to be driven individuals, and consequently, they are looking for the next promotion, the next deal, the next whatever. And historically, and this may not be the case, and this is a question rather than a statement, historically, the way that you have got that promotion or that deal is by proving that you are better than the competition, and better is normally, I have the answer and you don't, therefore I'm more worthy of this than you.
Well, my view on that, Adam, is that not all salespeople are driven in like an A player. So I think organizations make the mistake that they want everyone to be like their A players. And not everyone is like an A player. They're just not going to be. And bearing in mind that I've been a leader for over 30 years and worked with leaders in very many organizations, they have this utopia. Well, there's only ever 10% that are going to be that. There's only ever 10% of any organisation, roughly, that are going to be those A players. The rest are not. And that is where you need leadership. The rest are driven sometimes, and sometimes they're not. And it's those 80%, I call them. I know that doesn't add up to 100, but there's another 10% at the bottom who've got like 1 foot in the camp and 1 foot out of the camp. But I call them the 80%ers want to be successful. They have aspirations for growth, but they're just not A player naturally. They would have to develop those traits. So a natural A player is self-driven. If they don't know, they go and find out. If they get something wrong, they're asking themselves, how can I be better? Everything, like not just every day, during the course of the day, they are thinking to themselves, how could I have done that better? How could I have got a better result? How could I have made that conversation more engaging? Next time someone asks me that question, I'm going to definitely make sure I know the answer. They don't need a leader. Donald Duck could be their leader and they would still do it because that's how they're made.
Yeah.
Now, the 80%ers are not like that.
Sorry, Leigh, I interrupted you. Were you?
I just think that they're the ones that need the leadership. They're the ones that need the leader to nudge them out of their comfort zone in manageable steps that are a bit scary but not terrifying. And then the leader deals with the resulting stress until that person becomes comfortable, and then they nudge them back out again. So the job of the leader actually is like, if you maximize the 80%ers, revenue's going to skyrocket because 80% of the team all doing a little bit better is much more than the top 10%ers doing 1% better.
Yeah. Well said. And you've got some fans with you today, Leigh.
Have I?
I don't know if you saw me putting up some of the comments, but we've got Ian there looking forward to the session. Christopher, a founding fellow of the ISP. I don't know if you know him. Looking forward to the insight from you. And
bless.
Is that Dr. Leigh Williams. And then
thank you all.
my wife's dropped in as well. Good morning, Jackie. And on that note, actually, so my wife's a fan of ChatGPT. It's a bit of a mouthful, so she calls her Vicky. So I thought ahead of today, we would see whether Vicky knows about Leigh Ashton. Turns out she does.
Oh my word!
Do you want to hear what what ChatGPT has to say about
Yeah.
you.
What did Vicky have to
Yeah.
say?
Well, Vicky. So I'll paraphrase some of it. I won't read the whole lot out, but clearly she knows you. So Leigh Ashton is known as a sales coach and trainer who focuses on embedding a growth mindset in sales professionals.
Hmm.
The idea is that by installing a growth mindset, a belief that abilities and intelligence can be developed through dedication and hard work, salespeople can better handle challenges, overcome setbacks, and ultimately achieve higher sales success.
Nice. Thank you, Vicky. Forever, ChatGPT will be known as Vicky to me.
Yeah, perfect. So we've got about roughly 5 minutes left. Let's start to look at some of the practical things, some advice you can perhaps give our viewers. So if there is one thing you feel is the most valuable that you can share with our audience, and bearing in mind it's a combination of sales people and sales leadership,
Mm.
what would it be?
I would say never compare yourself to anyone, only to the you of yesterday. You're not in competition with anyone except yourself. And at the end of every day, ask yourself this question: based on what's happened today, what will I do differently tomorrow? Now, that
Love
one
that.
question asked every single day, and I would ask it at the end of the day, and so that think whilst the day is fresh in your mind, and make sure that at, when you're planning your next day, which I do at the end of each day, that I know how I'm going to incorporate those changes.
Mm,
So I have things that I always identify the top priorities of my day going into the day. So
yeah,
in the evening, I go, okay, so based on what's happened today, what will I do differently tomorrow? What what are my top priorities for tomorrow? And I always do those things before other things,
yeah,
because I think if you can, our days are very busy and there are constant interruptions and unexpected things. If you at least know what is the most important thing that you have to get done, then you are going to do that in between any interruptions. And
yeah,
at least by the end of the day, if you work on that premise, your most important things are more likely to get done. So, for salespeople, it's income producing activity is
yeah,
always, but not all income producing activity is of the same value. So, what are the top three? I call them FBIs, fastest business impact. What are the three FBIs that if you only get those three things done, you've had a really good day?
yeah. I love that. I love that. The only one thing I would add to it, which is kind of the same thing, is what one thing can I do tomorrow that will increase my probability of success or reaching my goal, whatever
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
defined. Yeah,
Yeah,
love
it's
that.
the same thing. However you want to word it, find the words that inspire you most, and just do that. Because often when I've worked with salespeople, they've said, "Oh, I come in every day, and I know that I'm gonna do my business development calls, and uh, then I get on my emails, I make my cup of like make my cup of coffee, do my emails." And then it's like nearly lunchtime, and I realised I still haven't done my biz dev. And
Mm.
I go, "Oh, well, that's no surprise, is it really?" For me, emails is like the black hole.
Yeah,
If I've got something really important to do, I don't even open my email server. I check my emails on my mobile. If there is nothing there that I need to reply to, like just really quick browse. If it isn't a client email or something like urgent, I don't even open my email server when I open my laptop, and I do my first FBI straight away.
yeah. Brilliant. I love that. Adam, any thoughts on that?
I think that's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah,
One of the things that we that we struggle to get clients to do is to behave differently and focus on the things that need to be done rather than the things that they want to do. And
yeah,
it's very easy to go into a wormhole and just keep doing more and more of these activities that don't deliver. And I think prioritizing those is a brilliant idea.
Yeah. So I think there we have it. With a minute to go, I think there we have it. There's the key action. There's the key takeaway for today from Leigh. Think about the one thing that you can do differently tomorrow that will improve your probability of success, and perhaps take a look at identifying those things that do make you busy throughout the day. What are the one or two things that you could do without, and you replace that with one of those more higher impact activities? Yeah, brilliant. So here's Leigh's book, Grow Your People, Grow Your Sales, in case anyone would like to hear more about Leigh. Leigh, where can people find you?
Oh, I'm always on LinkedIn each day, and my website is sales-consultancy.com. So you can always get to me through those two places.
Brilliant. Thank you, Leigh. Thank you, Adam.
Thank
It's
you for
been
having me.
Thank you,
fantastic.
Alex.
Thank you to the audience. See you next time. Take care.
Bye, everyone.